It's weird. All right. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We are going to assemble some drop pods. Personally, I hate drop pods. They're a huge pain in the ass. So let's build 2. Fancy new boxes. Certainly cheaper than the old ones. So I've built enough of these over the years to remember there's a couple things that can trip you up on a drop pod. The first one is that one of these is the sergeant's chair, and it's just a little bit different than the others. I don't remember exactly what makes it different. It's something like the positioning. So you have to find that one. And then that one has to be assembled as sort of like in a specific spot. And everything else can be assembled kind of anywhere. All right, so we're going to start with the basic assembly down here. We're just going to start with all the legs and fins and all that stuff. If I had to guess 2 drop pods, 2 o'clock now, I'm going to guess 2 hours each. They're pretty bulky. It's not that they're complicated, it's just that they have a lot of parts. There's no negative space. Every inch of the inside has detail, so all of it needs something, unfortunately. Every one of these fins has to be sanded. It's time consuming. So my guess is this will wrap up about 6 o'clock. We'll see. I could be wrong. I might have gotten faster over the years. We'll find out.
No, this game has exceeded all my expectations and some. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this game, but I will tell you right now, I'm along for the ride, man. I really think they knocked it out of the park with this game. And the fact that we've gotten a Resident Evil game the last 3 years, which I know that won't always be the case, but if we get like a 4 remake next year, I'm just saying. I would love that. So, you guys are awesome. Love you all. Let's get this. We got pipe bombs. We got my inventory just looks like a nightmare right now. Pipe bombs might be the way. Then again, metal scrap's good for... I feel like these mines might come in handy. Here we go, man. Oh, yeah, a lot of stuff around here. Oh, yeah, the game is being very, very generous right now. Hold on. Not going back here, it looks like. Nope, okay. We're going to actually have to use bullets on this thing, apparently. Which makes sense, but... Oh, my God.
Oh, there he is.
I was like kind of closed up right there. Let me check my health really needs. I kind of just ran up shooting it, so I don't know if that's smart or not, but. Is it pipe bomb or
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude. I'm gonna die. Oh my god. Yo, what? Where are you supposed to get right there? That's actually crazy. Hold on. There's gotta be like a building I can go into. I gotta get some water really quick. This boss fight's making me thirsty for some reason. Always stay hydrated, guys. Always. All right. With everything right, I feel like the guns, everything's good, but we just really need to focus up with starting it off with these, maybe. We know it's coming right here. Hold on. Like we know it's coming right here. Way to fire is my next thing to upgrade you. Pipe bombs, baby. Oh, I can get out of this room right here. Right here, baby. If I get this there into the three. Let's see if we can craft these. What does this need? One. I can make 3 of these. I'll make 1 for now. Finding it is just not it. Well, gave away my position. This is gonna hurt. I'm gonna loot these barrels when I'm done. Yo, that's Sally. I'm using too many shotgun shells here. things again. Yep. Kind of blocking me in a little bit. I'm going to use the sniper a little bit more here. I don't know if that's even the smart thing to shoot right there. I don't have any more. I'm actually going to have to craft some of these. I don't want to, but I have to. Barrel might save me a lot of ammo too, so. Do I have any more pipe bombs? Oh, I have these things still, I guess. Oh, I did not mean to. Oh, I did not mean to use that. I was going to equip it, but all right, that was
death as he was.
stuff.
Disgusting.
Man, I hated I used so much ammunition there, but at the same time, let's go looking around really quick. We can go back that way. Let me see what's else. Like, a lot of areas on here I didn't really get a chance to, like, loot. I feel like maybe there's, like, one or two at least. Got that. Okay. Really cool boss fight. I wasn't stressed out, really. I feel like that's going to be, like, the coolest boss fight in the game, I feel like, so far. Because Alcina wasn't really that tough. This is a really big takey boss. It definitely reminded me like the mother from 7 a little bit.
Yes,
as far as like, oh, it's that way. Okay. So what's the other spot going up that way? I wonder. Look around. What we got here? There we go. Hey, let's get it. And we got. Hold on. What is this? Shotgun shells. Nice. There's 2 spots you can go, it looks like. I'm just going to head back this way, since it is technically the way out. I think right here should be some stuff as well, yeah? Nice, let's get it. I just want to make sure I didn't like miss anything. So I'll say it right now, that was definitely what I was hoping for. I was like, okay, once the water's drained out, it seems like it's going along like in a smooth pace so far with the game. It's like each section, except for the mansion maybe, or the castle, I mean, it's like there's different areas you can go to. I like how this one, it lets you have the flask in the beginning, but then it took it away, like, it lets you, like, hang on to it, thinking you just walk away, and it's, like, turning into, like, this maze thing with the water and everything. Really awesome. What we got back here? We got a TV. What is this? It's a key, but it's another part for the other one. So it makes the other key. 6-winged unborn. Okay.
You're better off than I thought.
Who's that?
Oh, come on. We just met a while back. Not that it really matters.
You're the last asshole in my way, aren't you?
You've got fight. I'll give you that easily. But what's the plan when you have all 4 flasks?
What are you trying to get at?
I could lend you a hand.
Not trying to get on my good side?
I don't get cocky. I'd kill you if you weren't worth the trouble. There's a stronghold not too far outside the village. Go there and get my flask. Do that, and you pass. First, head back to the graveyard.
Now,
Prick.
this guy is Heisenberg, obviously. My assumption is this guy is going to make... Because the way he kind of approached, he's kind of like the Thor's hammer type thing where he can grab stuff and bring it towards you, you know? I don't know what he's got. I expect him to like a lot of traps and stuff. Hold on, where do we get that at? It's like next to us. How do we get there? I'm looking around to see if like there's a way back over there, but I don't quite know. I really want that treasure though. Labyrinth puzzle. We didn't get everything while we were out there, which I kind of want to go back and like just investigate a little bit. Oh, it's a weapon too. Yo, I bet you. I have a feeling it's probably. Can I go? Let's see if I can go back a little bit. I just want to see if it's actually easy to go back over there and look around. Because one thing it was about everything, like the water going away, is the area where that like floating around in the boats. I feel like now we can actually investigate that. There was another path to go back uphill. I just saw it a minute ago. I'm just gonna have to look again and see if I can find it. Worst case, I have to come back to it later on. But my hope is, by the time I take out Heisenberg, which I guess is going to be the final boss of this section or whatever, I'm just hoping that that's everything. You know, I don't want to have to like go back and I don't know. I could have sworn I saw like a different path. Oh well, let's just get going. Let me reset my footage really quick too. Give me 1 sec, guys. All right, not sure if it's a brand new video or I just randomly did a cut right there, but I took about an hour break. I actually took a nap too. One thing I did do before I left though, my inventory. I adjusted it a little bit. It looks like controlled chaos at this point, all right? Here's my thinking. I'm selling this next chance I get because the 1911 is better, but the Samurai's Edge, I still don't know. It doesn't sell for much, so I don't want to get rid of it. I don't have enough space for these, which I don't want my inventory to be full of just, I don't know, meat, I guess. It just takes up so much room, and I don't know how many of these can actually hold, so I'm like scared to hold on to everything. But they give you passive traits, and I really want them. So what I kind of did was I'm going to sell this, put the Magnum down here wherever that's going to be at, and put the ammo kind of next to it. So it's like each gun has its own ammo next to it. Pistol just has extras. So Magnum ammo, I didn't know where to put that. Felt like the knife and the hills kind of make it nice and neat up top. Lockpick if I need to use it. These kind of quick access as well. Made things kind of more cleared out, I guess. So, anyways, you know, the crazy thing is I don't know how long we got left of this game, but I feel like up to this point, it has been a very, very good Resident Evil game. Nothing but really good things to say about it. Now, I don't know where it's going to go from here, but I will tell you, this actually might branch out. So we go over here to the mechanical door, and we're not going to get the labyrinth puzzle. I'm guessing we go through here and there's something there. The fact that Heisenberg talked to us, I feel like everything is happening for a reason. The game kind of gives you that vibe, like you can go where you want. It's kind of true, but at the same time, it's also not really too accurate with that because make sure we're good here. Yeah, I think so. Here we go. Because I don't think I could have went to Heisenberg first, you know. So I just feel like the game kind of gives you the illusion, like, hey, here's the four lords you're gonna take down to save your daughter, and they save Heisenberg for last no matter what. Obviously, Alcina's gonna be the first one you take down no matter what because you don't even get the map or those little icons until after you get out of the castle. So. All right, sorry for this weird transition. It's all right. I thought I heard something and I went to check, but we're good. We're good. I just like put Clementine to sleep, so I'm like, I thought it was something crawling around up here. I forgot this was up here. Okay. Save point. Yeah, let me go ahead and just use the top one. The sun's out now, like it wasn't earlier. All right, let's see what we got here. Now we can kind of use this crank around the village, I'm guessing. Before we go there, hold on. Labyrinth puzzles back over there. I mean, I don't have anything. I'm guessing if I wanted to, I could go back. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'll go ahead and just make this deal with you guys right now. As long as you guys keep supporting the videos, what I would like to do before we, I guess, we're gonna go take on Heisenberg, right? And then we're gonna come back and put everything in the, I guess, wherever the thing is. And before I do that, though, I am going to go get each of these treasures if it's easy to do. I want to get all of the big ones at least. So we're going to find out what's next. But I think, hold on. Oh, I also changed my shortcuts a little bit. I just want to get everything before the end of the game. Something tells me this is a... Oh, no, you actually get courage. Okay. I could have pulled it for 420. Was it actually 420? I don't know. That's funny. What is that? Oh, it's one of those things. It's the multiples. Those don't look the same, though. They look kind of different. Mermaid ball. Hold on, let me check that. This is the labyrinth thing behind me. I'm actually going to go back over there and do that really quick. I'm going back. I'm going to have to take these enemies down anyways, but I'll wait a second first. I'm assuming this is it. We're going to find out. Yep, okay, it is. Yo, hold on. Doesn't this area kind of look like the... There's like a certain section in 4. I think all of these might be. Oh, it's just going to go land in one of these slots, I'm guessing. Okay. Hold on. Can't see where it's going. No! Okay, we're going again. This is not too bad because it doesn't close off, really. I guess you could go too fast with it. I'm kind of nervous. It's like, come on. You can do it. There you go. I feel like each of these are like a scene from 4, but I can't remember. Oh my god, this is so like... I can't see the other side, though. Oh, wait, there it is. No! Oh, dude, it's like, I can't... I'm trying to get it to go down, but... There it is. There it is. Okay. Almost there, guys. Woo! Got it. Yo, check out this thing. I want to see what this says. It's probably going to say very valuable or whatever. Hold on. Yeah, very valuable. So each of these only give you just like a, I guess, more currency. Which is cool, I guess. Is there a save point right here? Yeah, let me save my game because I'm going to be fighting these flying creatures, and I'm telling you, they are not for the faint of heart. So I'd almost prefer using a sniper, but I have too much pistol ammo. I really need to use it. So here we go. Here we go, man. I can go through the middle right here, or I'm actually going to go up top. Better vantage point, maybe. I'm just going to shoot them early. Normally I'd use like a sniper for long range, but... reload over here. A little closer. Give you all three.
Excuse me.
I have to actually go down there like that. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. I don't mind that because it's like, yeah, you think it's like a waste of ammo, but the way I play this game is just kind of like clear out everything first and then just make your way there. My biggest fear was I would take them out before. Let me see if this just loops around. Oh, it does. Okay. You know, finally getting kind of, I don't know what to say. We're getting close to the end of this game. I don't know what's after the Four Lords and all that, but I'll tell you right now, you guys are awesome. You've been kind of joining me each day. I've uploaded this game, and I really can't thank you enough. It's going to be the biggest series I've done probably of the year, and that's all because of you guys. So I love you all. Thank you so much for all the support. You want more of this game, just keep it up. And let's get this, guys. Metal scrap. How much of this thing? So actually, I don't think I missed any shots, but still felt kind of weird. Not gonna lie. Let's look back over here. It's blue now. So wait, hold on. It's blue, but there's something on the outside. Conveniently, and we got a bunch of Magnum ammo. Whenever we get this Magnum, let me tell you. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it there for now. Next chance I get, I'm gonna sell that other pistol to the Duke, and then just kind of go from there. All right, so whatever this was, or will be. I had to be quick right there. I heard him, and I thought it was just one, but I mistaken myself there. Think we're all right? That's blue as well. Okay. We are headed back. It looks like the treasure or the hidden weapon or whatever you want to call it. Each thing's different. We have up there, which looks like it loops around. Is there anything here? Nice. Nice little herb. I'll take it. So you can zip line to, I don't know where this goes, but here goes nothing. Really? Was that even, like, worth it? Yo, I just heard, like, a... Oh, it's in here. Oh, it's the treasure is in here. See if I can get it stirred up really quick from the outside. I think I can dismantle this thing if I need to. Part of me wants to just shotgun and call it a day. My worry is this is not going to be easy. If it's something that simple, then I feel like maybe... I know what I'll do. This is perfect. I'm getting rid of this gun anyways. I'm not going to reload it. That saves me ammo for the future, and I can kind of keep it like that. Yes. I was wondering if we were going to get it, guys. Look at this. Oh, no. We got to move around some stuff. We'll be fine. Okay, so here's kind of what I'll do here. This is a simple fix. Move this down here. Move this over a couple. Then I can move this out. Done. We're definitely selling the other gun. Like, first chance I get. Oh, it doesn't like that. Okay. I confirmed it. I hit the right button there. Hold on, let me see. Let me just move this over. Or I guess what I could do. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to move this stuff anyways. Yeah, I'm going to sell that next chance I get. I'll move this down here and move this right here. We'll fix them later on. We're good. Hey, this is sick. And we already got ammo for it. Only thing is I'm not going to keep it on me. Or maybe I will. I feel like the Magnum, I mean, it's like I want to keep it on me at all times. Mother Miranda gave me a mountain. I can go all lots of Kodal experiments. I'm not sure if that's the right, not Kodal. I don't know how you'd actually say like Bayou type, text. All right, this is my secret special laboratory. I did 3 experiments today. They all went pop and made a mess, which means, okay, people. Oh, let's see what we go. Try putting wolf blood from needle into the spine. The person killed my assistant. Now I have to feed it. Okay. The fact that we got the Magnum, though, I am happy. And you already know it's called the Wolf's Bane too. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we have to sell one of these pistols now. Like, I don't even need both of them. I could probably get rid of the Samurai's Edge too, but I'm also worried that if I do that, it's just gonna be a problem. I don't know. We're gonna change these out as well. I'll make this a shortcut on the bottom. If things get absolutely crazy, then I'll switch to the bottom, but we should be all right. All right, we're good. I heard growling, I thought. Oh my god, it's back. It's like it wants me to use the Magnum. You know what I mean? I bet you get something cool for killing that thing. It's kind of weird it just showed up like that, though. Of all things. This is the dead end, too, which is going to suck if it comes down this way. Will, I guess. Please don't come down this way. Flashbang ammo, nice. This is the dead end. Yep. So to get out of here, we actually need to go back up through where we came from. Okay, this is a whole separate area. We have this up here, though. Yeah, we're going to head back. This is about to get messy. What I could do, though, do this right here, equip the flashbang, which I guess won't really do damage. It'll stun him, I guess, if he sees me. Or it sees me, whatever. Okay, there it is. We're going to loop around, go back over here at the dead ends. We're essentially, this whole area was just the hidden stuff. The hidden weapon, which I'm glad it was the Magnum. I don't know if there's other hidden weapons on the map. I'll look later on. There's 2 hidden sections I do want to check out, though. Please don't come this way. Just do what you got to do. I'm not going to run because I don't know if that'll make it mad or what. Go for it. We're saving, and we're going to chill for a second. By a second, I mean like literally 1 second. I gotta get some water. Sorry, my throat's been like bothering me today. All right, I'm good. We're going straight right here. Yep. This is gonna go take us straight back. All right, so my goal was to get this treasure, and there's a water wheel weapon right there. Treasure under the stronghold. So the stronghold is going towards Heisenberg, which is where he's going to be at. Cannibal's Plunder, okay. I don't know what that is. Riverbank Treasure House, okay. Let's just try. All right, so far, the 3 main bosses we fought, which one do you guys like the best? I got to say, man, that last one we just did was awesome. This way. Let's see, candles. I don't know, man. I'm kind of nervous, but at the same time, and it's kind of cool to see that. But look, you can actually see the castle now, too, in the background, like actual daytime, where it's not foggy all of a sudden. But see how the game kind of gives you that illusion, like you're free to just roam around, which you kind of are. This way, yeah, there's another sign right there. I wanted to see this house because it is red still. So look around. I don't know if there's a way to get in here through this back area. Not really sure exactly. It's obviously the door is right there, but I guess you have to actually go all the way through it. This way, Papa. All right. Go up here. Yeah, I want to check that house out. We also have the lockpick for that over there. I want to get back to Heisenberg. Not Heisenberg, but the Duke really quick. Kind of get... There's like 2 things I want to check out, though. There's the bird and that photo from earlier in the game. Rose is waiting for you. Hey, it's pretty cool that he's done all this stuff, you know? Right, and I don't know how he put the...
Excuse me.
I'm worried they're going to run for it. Oh, it's the same. It's not the same. It's like a different kind of meat, I guess. We also never gotten here, which... I don't know. The picture had like a bluebird, and there it is. There's probably special types of animals in those photos. Juicy game. Okay. All right, so we know where we kind of have to go, which is through this area. I just wanted to see if there's anything else. We couldn't go back through there for some reason. Which, I mean, the house is destroyed, so I don't know why you'd be able to. Maestro's collection, I still don't know how to get there. I think maybe you go to this house and it goes under. I'm not going to worry about it right now. If it says weapon... Hold on, what does it say? Hold on, let me see it. Yeah, Mother Miranda's Wrath, which I definitely don't want to fill right now. Let's go back over here to the Duke. I feel like this game sometimes needs like a... Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have used the rest of those rounds in that other pistol. You know?
Well, that went faster than I thought.
Maybe his inventory's changed a little bit. Let's go ahead and put this in. We have arms. Missing one more. All right. I think I've got each of these drawbridge, which I can now lower. I might go back over there and check that out really quick, too. I don't know what that would be for. Let's go ahead and get this over with.
Ah, my apologies.
I like how he was distracted.
I procured some new items for you, Mr. Winters.
Oh, wait a minute. On hand. Okay. Juicy game. Hold on. Health greatly increases permanently. That actually might be very, very good. Definitely got to get this one first. Number.
Ah, thank you.
Go ahead and get this over with. Drawbridge, which I can now lower. I might go back over there and check that out really quick too. I don't know what that would be for. Let's go ahead and get this over with.
Ah, my apologies.
I like how he was distracted.
I procured some new items for you, Mr. Winters.
Oh, wait a minute. On hand. Okay. Juicy game. Hold on. Health greatly increases permanently. That actually might be very, very good. Definitely got to get this one first. Number.
Ah, thank you. We've gathered all the ingredients. Now,
Let's get cooking. Nice. Might be an achievement for this if I had to guess. Like make one thing or whatever.
finished. I'd love for you to enjoy as well.
Health is greatly increased
Not a
permanently.
bad
Nice.
dish.
This one says damage taken when guarding is. Yeah, I don't. I feel like I should just go ahead and use this, but at the same time, I mean, the fact that I got the greatly increases permanently first is pretty awesome. There's another fish right there. So, yeah, the guarding thing, I don't really guard a lot, I feel like. I always forget to, honestly, but I guess I'll go ahead and do it.
Carry on. I can hardly wait. Just excuse me a moment.
Like, he's super excited about cooking, so I'll take it.
Finished. I'd love for you to enjoy as well.
Nice. Freed up some inventory space at least.
I wouldn't mind having that again.
All right, we got a lot of stuff we can get now. Let me sell some stuff first. Crystal. Yo, this is 40,000? That's the boss, though. Where's the other thing I have? The green. Oh, there it is. Okay.
This is
100,000,
Lord
guys.
Rose.
Let's go.
I suppose it's what they call the beauty of the grotesque.
Here's the thing. Even if you have this all the way maxed out, it's like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sell this. I really just need the space. I know everything has a price or whatever, but I cannot for the life of me hold on to this thing and feel confident. You can sell this stuff too, like based on the upgrades, like the grenade launcher if you really needed to, but I think out of everything going on, granted I have the charm for this too, I'll get it in the next playthrough as well. All right, here we go. There we go.
This is all an investment.
Let me go ahead and buy the simple stuff first, which is basically anytime he has these
For your
things,
purchase.
I get them all. Oh, you can actually buy it back. That's funny. It's 50,000 though, but it's also the same power. Okay, level 3. Yep. I'm gonna buy everything that's like singled out. I feel like these stocks and stuff don't really matter too much. What I'm about to spend some more money on though is 1911. Get that up. 17,000.
These hands are more dexterous than one might think.
Rate of fire was definitely okay. That's as high as it goes. I did the part for that. Rate of fire, the sniper, maybe a little bit as well. What does it go? One. It doesn't say. What is it currently? It says level 1, 2. 1.8 from 2, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. We're gonna go with this 40. Hold on. 48,000? Are you kidding me? For 200 more? Is that a lot? God, am I about to well out? Oh my! I could literally upgrade everything else, or I can go like boss mode right here. The thing is, this is one of 6 powers. Look at the bottom right there. 1 of 6. Oh my! I don't know if I should do it or not. I just feel like I should maybe increase up the rate of fire on this a little bit. I don't know, man. Go big or go home. That's what I'm thinking about right now. This definitely needs a bump in rate of fire. 100%. Reload's fine. Ammo capacity on this is 9. If I bump it up to that. Let's get that as well. God, I don't know, man. That is a huge bump up. But I can afford it. So we're going to do it. Oh, it hurts. 29,000 left. I'm saving it. I am saving all of it. to find a Magnum part or whatever. We can't make Magnum ammo yet. That's the only thing. So let's look at our inventory really quick. Now that I've sold the other, this is kind of what I wanted to do. I'll take you guys through my process, I guess, here. God, the meat just takes up so much space. I really don't like carrying it on me, to be honest. Let's see. I like how I don't have hardly any room for anything. This should just be something I can move down here. There we go. Magnum ammo next to that. And then more health, I guess. Kind of... You know what's bad? I sold the other thing, and I still don't have a lot of space because of the Samurai's Edge. So I'm wondering if I should just sell that and get it back whenever. Because I can't upgrade it. It's taking up way too much space. And lockpick down here, I guess. We literally have these slots, and that's it. I wish you could stack the health as well, but... God, these right here are just the bane of my existence. I can't even craft stuff, really. Tempted just to sell all the meat, but I feel like if I do that, it's going to be pointless. All right, I'm saving. All right, we have a few options here. We can either go over here to the left, which I think I'll do that first, actually. One thing I will do, I'm going to hang on to the Magnum separately than everything else. Because, if I'm not mistaken, I can't craft ammo yet. Maybe later in the game I can get something where I can, but right now I'm going to assume I cannot for the entire game. We'll see though. I feel like when we get to Heisenberg, it's going to say, like, there's a point of no return. You know what I mean? There's a boat right here. What in the world? Shit. my god.
Why is this doing this? Jesus. Oh my god. Oh, what is wrong with my insides? Ugh. Ugh. Oh, I am caught up. Neat. Neat. Oh my god.
I've said many times that if you get to be 65 or 70 and later, and the people that you want to have love you actually do love you, you're a success. I've never seen anybody that reaches that age. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody that's in extreme poverty or pain or something, but I've never seen anybody that, if they have a lot of people that love them, that is other than happy. And I've seen some very, very wealthy people that they give testimonial letters to and name schools after and everything. But nobody loves them. By far the best investment you can make is in yourself. I mean, that, for example, communication skills. I tell those students that come that they're going to graduate schools and business, and they're learning all these complicated formulas and all that. If they just learn to communicate better, both in writing and in person, they increase their value at least 50%. I mean, if you can't communicate, somebody says, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens, basically. And you have to be able to get forth your ideas, and that's relatively easy. I did it myself with the Dale Carnegie course. Some people wish I'd taken a shorter course now in terms of my talking later on, but it's just hugely important. And if you invest in yourself, nobody can take it away from you. I mean, you and the second thing, which I'll get a certain criticism for not living it, but I do tell those students, that if I gave you a car and it'd be the only car you get the rest of your life, you take care of it like you can't believe it. You scratch it, fix that moment, you read the owner's manual, you keep a garage, do all these things. And you get exactly one mind and one body in this world. And you can't start taking care of it when you're 50. By that time, you'll have rusted out if you haven't done anything. So you should really make sure that you just remember that you just got one mind and body to get through life with and to do the most with it. Well, life advice is, the most important thing, aside from the things I've talked about already, is really who you associate with. You want to associate with people that are better than you are. I mean, basically, you'll go in the direction of the people that you associate with, and you want to have the right heroes. You want people. If you want to emulate somebody, you better pick very carefully who you want to emulate. And when obviously you can't pick your parents. They're going to have an enormous influence on you, but you don't get a choice on that. But you get choices as you go down the line, and who you admire, who you want to copy, and the most important for most people in terms of that decision is their spouse. It's also important in terms of a partner in business, a partner in life is the most important one. You want to pick a spouse that's a little bit better than you are. And he or she, hopefully, you hope they don't figure it out too fast. Now at 86, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have gotten older, and I've never seen anybody that is 70 or pick an age who felt good about their children that felt bad about their life. In all my experience, I've seen plenty of people with lots of money where it hasn't worked out well in the family.
And didn't feel good about their children.
Or the children didn't feel good about them. I mean, but whichever way. I mean, but they failed at the most important teaching job they have in personal relationship, and sometimes it happens for extraneous reasons. But I really have never met anybody, regardless of their economic circumstances, who felt their life was a failure. And I knew one fellow was extraordinarily rich. He put a lot of money in his kids' name. He didn't want them to have any control over it. Once a year, he would have dinner with them and try and get them to sign their income tax return in blank. Now, just imagine that, with, in this case, 4 kids, none of them, he wanted to have enough confidence in them or that. It's just crazy. I mean, he would woo them during this dinner and they knew exactly what was going on. And once a year, and and then he'd bribe them sort of to sign their income tax return in blank so he could file and they wouldn't know what they had. I mean, that when you have a dose, I've seen just time after time when people have been successful. I've seen plenty of the other two, but successes in business, a failure, they file and they wouldn't know what they had. I mean, that when you have a dose, I've seen just time after time. He wanted to have enough confidence in them or that. It's just crazy. I mean, he would woo them during this dinner and they knew exactly what was going on. And once a year, and and then he'd bribe them sort of to sign their income tax return in blank so he could file and they wouldn't know what they had. I mean, that when you have a dose, I've seen just time after time when people have been successful. I've seen plenty of the other two, but successes in business, a failure, and I don't think they feel good about life. Most greatest satisfaction is just staying in good health. I mean, when you're 86, I mean, you look at this little liver. I mean, I enjoy every day. The problem of trade is that the benefits are diffused and invisible. So you don't walk in and buy a pair of shoes or some underwear or anything, and it says you just saved 12% because this was purchased somebody. So 320 million people are buying things. The bananas come. They're buying things cheaper than they would otherwise. But the harmful effects, taking somebody out of a job they've had for 25 years when it's too late to retrain them or anything, they're very specific and terrible. Now, what you want to figure out a way is to keep the societal benefits and take care of the people that really are they're the roadkill basically in this, and there will be roadkill. I mean, there's no sense kidding yourself. I mean, we started with a textile mill in Berkshire. Half our workers only spoke Portuguese. They worked in hot conditions, loud conditions, and they spent 20 or 25 years on looms. When textiles moved elsewhere, their lives, economic lives, were ruined, and that is going to happen. That is part of trade. And the benefits, if somebody buys whatever textiles we were turning out, handkerchiefs or anything, they may buy them a little cheaper. And we've got to keep the trade benefits everybody, us and them. As a society, it penalizes certain people terribly. And we've got to take care of the people that are getting hurt because we've got the resources.
And take care means what?
It means that somehow you have to have some kind of, you got to have retraining and all that when that's feasible. But it isn't feasible when you only speak Portuguese and you're in New Bedford and you're 55 years old and you spent your whole life on a loom. You've got to make sure that person has an income that's commensurate. We can do it as a society, and we don't want to let the individual case prejudice against trade benefits everybody, but we also don't want to say because everybody's benefited, to hell with this guy. And we can afford that, and we should do it, and that's how we'll get a good trade policy. Overall, in aggregate, our society will be far richer 10, 20, 30 years ago. And if you just take an aggregate, our children will live better. The real question is will it continue to leave lots of people behind? And a specialized market system will leave people behind. There is, if somebody is, however you want to measure it, 10% below average, their opportunities in this world today have not improved at all, from 30 or 40 years ago. The classic situation is you take the Forbes 400 in 1982. Number one guy was Dan Ludwig. No, your viewers never heard of him. They had $2 billion. Now that it'd be 30 or 40 times that. 30 or 40 times, and this. A more highly specialized economy year after year, different from that agrarian economy of 200 years ago. It's going to be more and more people at the very top winning big time. And it really won't do absent certain types of programs, it won't do much for the person that really doesn't have any special skills for the market. The, the, the average person, or slightly below average person in terms of particularly market talents, is not going to do very well unless we have policy to make sure that they participate in some way. And the guys at the top are going to keep doing better. I mean,
Policies from
it has to be government. Government is always. I mean, the market system is this traffic cop. It directs resources, it directs brains, and it does a great job of it. But if it also directs all the winnings that will continuously favor more people at the top. Government's always in. I mean, government came in with Social Security, and government, redirects the winnings, so it isn't totally the market system that delivers the winnings. But I don't want to kill the market system in terms of producing things at all. We want more and more stuff, but there will be more and more people falling further relatively behind, and that's not a good result. I mean, we can afford, we can do that. And this country, if you took the Ford 400, they had $93 billion in 1982, and they have $2.4 trillion now. 25 times as much, not exactly the same people that take the 400, 25 times as much as 35 years ago. And believe me, that does not strike somebody that's working 40 hours a week and trying to support a couple of kids on it and finding,
and their income would remain the same or be less. Or
they just aren't participating.
They're threatened by forces they can't comprehend.
They can't. The market system just pays more and more. Just say you're a middleweight boxer. I mean, in the 30s you were limited to. You wouldn't even get on the undercard at Madison Square Garden. It was limited, but then television comes along and cable comes along and pay-per-view, and tens and tens of millions of dollars. So at the top, it's terrific. But if you're the 45th best middleweight in the country, it's pretty much the same as it used to be in the 30s. So the spread gets wider. If you're Frank Sinatra, you're a lot better off if you've got television than if you just play at some theater in New York, like where you started. It's magnified, but throughout. I mean, if you've got a good business idea, you can get it capitalized and become worth billions just on the idea. So it's just tougher. Whereas, you go back to 1800, and if you were reasonably strong and willing to work hard, you were worth 90% as much on a farm as the very best guy. It just the differential, and it'll keep widening. The market system will push it in that direction. But government is there to.
What would you change if you could?
Well, I would change the earned income tax credit big time. Yeah, because I am where I am, not by myself at all. I mean, there are 320 million Americans out there, and there's a lot of crosses over at Normandy and everything else. It just I benefit enormously by having come along when I came along and where I came along, and some people did, and some people didn't. And there's nothing wrong with a market system that rewards anybody that makes life better for millions of people. They want to get enormously rewarded, but you got to take care of the people that just don't fit well into that particular niche. I mean, if this country paid off based on athletic ability, I mean, I could study 8 hours a day and and have all these and I'm still gonna get the ring or something like that 10 seconds later I'm on my back. So the talents that get rewarded in the market system are important because they bring us more of the goods and services that the country wants, and they make all kinds of improvements in how we live. Just incredible. But they leave people behind, and it won't be solved simply by education. A 2% growth rate, if we have a little less than 1% population growth, which we probably will, in one generation, 25 years now, people have kids a little later, will add 19,000 per capita, family of four, 76,000 to real GDP. So there'll be family of four, on average, there would be 76,000 more stuff per family of four in one generation. I mean, we are going to have more, and the goose is going to keep laying more golden eggs. I mean, and we've got a wonderful system.
So successful, pulling in nearly $200 million worldwide just on a $30 million budget.
I gotta mute this, otherwise I'm gonna get
He is, however, very sensitive to lightning attacks, and if you get him down to a lower health, then he will fight more cautiously, whipping his long neck chain at you from a distance. Of all the entries, Veil de Nam feels the most realistic in terms of what From Software could do with a sequel. It feels familiar yet distinct, and the gameplay considerations here are just so masterful that I'm honestly kind of gutted that we might never get to explore these Phoenician blood-soaked streets. Titanilla has entered multiple past competitions, and it's so well deserved that she's broken the top 3 here for the first time. Please go and check out her art station in the description. Her character art, as you can tell, is fantastic, and she's currently open for commissions if you want to see more like this. Now, for the very first time, we have a shared first place. Congratulations to Thomas Chamberlain and Sam Lamont. First, let's explore Sam's world. His is perhaps the most outlandish piece in the whole competition. Such was the wonder of blood ministration that we were compelled to bring that knowledge to those unfortunates who live without its miraculous effects. This was the Healing Church's mission, as proposed by Sam Lamont. In his world, the Healing Church sets off to spread their doctrine to the wider world, but on the way, the ships and their passengers are irreversibly changed by the harvesting of chorus whales, whose flesh and blood reveal terrible insights. Now we can see, looking upon the stain of warping death that we leave in our wake, it is not a miracle we bring, but terror and unstoppable ruinous change. Sam's game takes place on these gargantuan ships, which are essentially floating cities that travel as a fleet. The first we row up to is the Thimble Winter, sporting these great lighthouses that shine through the eternal rain and fog. This ship becomes our hub world, but it's also occupied by the Lamplighters, who are these former crew members tasked with maintaining the lighthouse. They were irreversibly changed by the use of oil that was flensed from the great whales, so a sickness took them, and they began staring endlessly into the light, laughing joyously as their transformation began. In-game, they pour oil on you, and then ignite you by spitting a burning liquid from their mouth. So keen are they to what world, but on the way, who live without its miraculous. Effects. This was the Healing Church's mission, as proposed by Sam Lamont. In his world, the Healing Church sets off to spread their doctrine to the wider world, but on the way, the ships and their passengers are irreversibly changed by the harvesting of chorus whales, whose flesh and blood reveal terrible insights. Now we can see, looking upon the stain of warping death that we leave in our wake, it is not a miracle we bring, but terror and unstoppable ruinous change. Sam's game takes place on these gargantuan ships, which are essentially floating cities that travel as a fleet. The first we row up to is the Thimble Winter, sporting these great lighthouses that shine through the eternal rain and fog. This ship becomes our hub world, but it's also occupied by the Lamplighters, who are these former crew members tasked with maintaining the lighthouse. They were irreversibly changed by the use of oil that was flensed from the great whales, so a sickness took them, and they began staring endlessly into the light, laughing joyously as their transformation began. In-game, they pour oil on you, and then ignite you by spitting a burning liquid from their mouth. So keen are they to watch things burn. Each ship boss drops a phonograph cylinder, which can be used to play songs that control the weather or the tides. Songs of the Void change the weather, increasing your likelihood of encountering certain enemies. This adds replay value to each ship. There are also Songs of the Tides, which can be played to bring new ships into your fleet, opening up new areas for exploration. The first to be boarded are the twin ships of Dawn and Dusk, a twisting labyrinth left to rot by its blind inhabitants. Swarms of gulls once circled overhead, but when the plentiful fish they were accustomed to were depleted by the massive boat's endless trawling, the starving gulls pecked and clawed at the fishermen's eyes, blinding each and every one. Who can say how a bird interprets the insights that are gained by so many eyes? Encounter them, and they will vomit hundreds of eyes at the player. If you are hit, the gull's true form can be seen for a fleeting second, which causes massive frenzy damage. In this place, we acquire the Trident Bow, a whale hunting tool turned trick weapon capable of firing and then reeling in your prey. We also find the Crescent Hook, which can contract into a stabbing weapon capable of delivering a poisoned jab. Next, the Song of the Waxing Crescent brings us to the Brilliant Communion, a ship reserved for Father Reuben and his clergy. Ironically, it now seems lost to members of the occult. Nuns turned to witches, armed with these enormous flensing shears for skinning the chorus whales. These weapons are incredibly powerful, but their shoddy construction means that once they break, they cannot be repaired and used again. Fall to a flensing witch, and your skin will be added to their cloak, increasing their eldritch powers. The whales themselves are hauled onto the cornucopia, a trawling vessel that was hastily converted to accommodate the whales that crewmen were becoming increasingly dependent on. Their whale skin gave up whale blubber, which permanently increases either your HP or your stamina. Their flensed oil has miraculous healing properties and can burn bright enough to penetrate any fog. Within their bows was ambergris, with a smell that proved irresistible to most sailors, breaking their minds with terrible insights if they ate it. Finally, the whale's songs were inscribed on wax cylinders made of ambergris, so that the songs of the fathomless depths could be played on a phonograph. After being administered with the healing blood, these whales gave up their secrets in flesh, blood, and song. And as you fight one during this boss fight, wounds reveal a cornucopia of eyes underneath, which can blast the player with arcane beams. And when the deed is done, one may fashion a cutlass from a tooth, the natural oils fueling a flame you can tease from its edge. Once the chorus whale is defeated, the player makes their way inside, witnessed by a tunnel of 1,000 eyes. Isn't this just the most bloodborne thing you've ever seen? The eyes coalesce into a sea of stars and galaxies, eventually leading to the final area, the city underneath. Here, the true forms of the chorus whales float overhead with an alien grace, circling a spire suggestive of the deep sea room, where each tower ends with a fight against the heralds who listen to the rituals being performed above. After the last one is slain, you are transported to a chalice dungeon, surrounded by Temerians, who speak to you in a language you inexplicably understand. They have answered. You can find more work from Sam over on his website, moonskinned.co.uk, where he's only too happy to give form to expansive worlds, intricate games, and horrifying monsters. He even sells a small set of miniatures in his store, which he thinks should appeal to the Dark Souls fans among us. So please, go and check him out in the description. Sharing first place with Sam is Thomas Chamberlain, who masterfully captures the themes, the aesthetics, and also just the design goals of From Software. Injured, you wander the desert, seeking blood healing, until you notice a figure in the distance pulling a makeshift pram. Upon getting closer, they turn to face you, and if you look past the enormous scythe, you may notice something familiar about them right before they cut you to shreds. This is not a fight you're supposed to win, but delay your demise long enough, and the figure will use eldritch attacks, granting you some insight to start your journey with. You awaken in the Hunter's Reverie, a sort of daydream equivalent to the Hunter's Dream. I love it.
Okay.
The color palette and the atmosphere of this place. Patiently waiting as you admire the new dream is the doll. She's no longer hostile to you, but her newfound tendency for violence and conflict does help to explain her newly cracked facade. Doing character development for the doll is a brilliant idea, and it continues as you interact with her. You can ask to look inside her pram, and she'll refuse, but if you keep trying with your weapon drawn, then she will eventually relent. You quickly learn that her warnings are not to be taken lightly, because looking inside will grant you 20 insight but at the cost of 50% of your maximum health. Attack her, and the doll will ask if you wish to leave this place. Continue, and she'll curtsy, booting you to the main menu screen, which you kind of deserve, let's be honest. On the flip side, you can bring her certain clothes that you find throughout your journey, and for this, she will thank you and be seen wearing them in subsequent visits. Gaining trust with the doll will reward you with weapons, brooches, and she might even assist you in the final fight. For there is a brooding disturbance in the depths of Loran. The sand is draining away somewhere beneath the city, exposing the sprawling ruins. The city is crawling with Ixodida, giant ticks that languish in the exposed sun. They're your primary source of blood, provided you have a cannula to inject with. Different types of cannula can be found throughout your journey, and these injection vessels change the type of healing you receive. For example, some replenish more HP, but slowly, and some replenish less HP, but quickly, and some offer buffs to damage, speed, or defense. This is such a good idea. Your garb also suits the setting, and you'll soon find a fantastic trick weapon to match, the Tendon Saber. A hooked weapon, it's designed to sever the Achilles tendon. It has a contracted one-handed state for grappling with enemies in close range, and an extended two-handed form intended for long-range defensive combat. It's the weapon our character wields against the Ixodida Queen. An enormous tick towers over you, looking for an opening as you're swarmed by its spawn. As long as the smaller ticks can be taken out carefully, they can be a source of healing for the player, but carelessness fighting the minions might put you in range of the Queen, whose mouth has this devastating grab attack. There are two ways you can progress the fight. The Queen has high health regeneration thanks to her huge store of blood, but it's possible to overwhelm her with enough consistent damage. Alternatively, you can repeatedly attack her blood sac until it ruptures, lowering her health regeneration with each wave of toxic blood. In her fully depleted state, her blood sac is horrifically severed, and she lets out a nauseating shriek, scaring away the lesser Ixodida and rushing you in a frenzy, with drastically increased movement and attack speeds. But no matter which combat approach you take, if you risk focusing your attacks on her mouth, then you'll eventually be rewarded with the Ixodida Queen Hyperstone. It's a trick weapon crafted from her remains, capable of shooting out this lightning-fast whip to impale enemies, allowing you to drain them of their blood, just as she does. Thomas also drafts 4 other trick weapons, all sporting consistently strong designs: the pincer shears, the leeching Urumi, the ceremonial pick, and the feral Makwahuit. As you explore the city, the eclipse overhead progresses, and your insight deepens. As a result, enemies get harder, different enemies seem to show up, and you also start to notice visual cues that help you perfectly time your dodges, which is similar to what we received as a gameplay innovation in Sekiro. I love this. I love that he tied it into insight as well. Anyway, in this place, you speak to the inhabitants of Loran, who are hiding away in their homes. There's talk of a queen. Some implore you to trust her a little longer, and some ramble about her dooming us all. There are violent members of an insurrection on the streets, and who you decide to side with plays into the side stories of the city, opening up helpful shortcuts or providing rare resources. So you find your way to the deepest depths, and you finally reach the altar of the lost ocean. A great one sits upon the altar, holding some bloodied remains wrapped in swaddling cloth. You approach, realizing the bodies bent in prayer are long since desiccated, crumbling at your touch. At the altar is another powerful healing item, the Queen's Cannula, which reads, "The people were ailing, plagued by disease and drought. A great power was offered by the Tumerian priest, a ritual that, when complete, could deliver her poor Lorenites from their torment. She would never come to learn the true horror she had unwittingly brought upon the world, an unending curse of defilement and death." Taking this item drives the Great One into a frenzy, breaking the altar apart and throwing you into the abyssal water below. As with many great bodies of water in Bloodborne, when you hit it, you are transported into a nightmare, and on your way back up to the surface in this realm, you also encounter the townsfolk, running in fear or undergoing hideous transformations, and at the surface, you start your final fight with Fauna, the Great One of Loran. In Bloodborne, it was speculated that our moon presence was called Flora, based on some dialogue from the doll. Flora is a technical term for plant life, and fittingly, the Great One of Laran is called fauna, the technical term for animal life. So considering Laran is famous for having its own beastly scourge, fauna is an excellent name. After the nightmare is slain, the city seems to be at rest. Now that you have the knowledge and the tools required for blood healing, you travel home to your settlement and part ways with the doll. On your way out, if you have enough insight, you see the doll push her pram up an altar to meet with Fauna, who is seemingly still alive. As Fauna descends, the doll gently waves goodbye, and they both disappear from sight. The end. What I love about Thomas Chamberlain's entry are the questions that are left unspoken. As Bloodborne fans, a lot of you can probably guess, for example, what was in the doll's pram. You can probably see why she's wielding a scythe. You might figure out why the Great One is wearing a wedding ring, and why it's cradling an infant. Thomas doesn't explicitly explain these things. Instead, he respects your intelligence and your curiosity with the way that he presents them. And that is the most From Software-like trait of them all. Thomas is currently a concept artist over at Playground Games, and his professional background shows, honestly. His take on Laran would be an excellent foundation for a team that's looking to build out gameplay, level design, and lore. So if you're looking to learn, Thomas has a YouTube channel where he details the processes behind a lot of his art, and he's even given a long interview detailing all of the lore and design decisions behind this piece in particular, which I really recommend you watch. So please check out all of his links, including his art station, in the description. Congratulations to everyone who competed. It's a huge privilege to receive and review your art, and even if your piece wasn't seen here, I hope you enjoyed the creative process of competing in the competition. Before you go though, let's talk about some of these runner-ups. The most difficult thing about these competitions is choosing who makes it into the top 10 and who misses out. Luckily, since an art book is being made from these entries, it's my hope that that book will do a lot of justice to a lot of the unseen art and artists. That said, runners-up for this competition included Pierre, who was perhaps the only one to present Bloodborne with a Spanish flair, with weapons and attire to match. Wes Fraser, whose greenhouses filled with healing herbs were decommissioned after the healing blood took over, only to be recommissioned in the hopes of transcending humanity through the Lumen Woods. Nader offered a convincing story that I thought would make excellent DLC, featuring Edward of the Moon and his many weapons. Mark took Bloodborne to a forested cove, which was settled by Bergenworth scholars, who later became ruled by pirates and their terrible captain. John Big, whose 3D renders were unparalleled in this competition. He took us to the hinterlands, a murky wetland full of decay and rot. Benjamin proposed a vampiric flair for his sequel, with our character discovering the corruption within Salvin Castle. This entry was so close to making it in. Nolan created the best underwater concept from a gameplay point of view, with the actual currents being controllable by the player, getting around the sluggishness of underwater combat. Felix offered an excellent perspective on a hub world with their art. There was Ab and Rain, who are always on the very brink of the top 10. They presented a set of factions that were really very convincing. Andrew Mironov set up characters that fused Bloodborne's aesthetic with the World War. Angel created a really stylish cast of characters, placing really high as always. Augusto crossed Bloodborne with a knightly aesthetic, which looks awesome. Elena created a really memorable boss called the Bloated Cardinal. I'll always remember the spring-heeled Jack from Harrison's super detailed entry. There was Ian's retro aesthetic, Jiwen's awesome painted style. Maxime envisioned Carol as an owl. Xiaofan created an awesome aesthetic inspired by Chinese folklore. Askan took us to the western gold rushes, where miners found and became obsessed by a very different kind of metal. And Aaron proposed a haunting ritual for his piece, showing a group chanting an ode to the Great One. Now, there's also two other entries that absolutely would have made the top 10, but weren't eligible because they were actually created before the competition was announced. These are shots from Kradishan Estani's Blood Maidens and Toby Treblejar's Oceanborn, and they're astounding. I hope they accept a feature in the art book. But the final uneligible entry is by Ricardo Amique, who opted not to return as a judge for this competition simply because he wanted to contribute one last thing. It's a series of art masterpieces put to video, and it serves as a very fitting end to our competition. So thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. Maybe one day we'll return for a second season, but for now, enjoy One Iron Wand by Ricardo Amique.
Yes, indeed. They call it the aeronaut. The wondrous device that rends one. There, the graveyard of our achievements. Where now prayers are heard nevermore. Where the line between the dreams blur. And when the red tide comes, the waters rise, and all will be taken by the endmost night. Those who walk the loose lane, trying to wake themselves by raising Cain. The bourgeoisie, immaculate. And upon the crown of creation, lonely stands a galvanist, trying to reanimate our wilting flower smith. Curious, God from the machine. And the pilgrims who finally found the way, for in their call beyond the fifth wall will break. The panopticon of the deep sea. Like ants, we dug deep. Like ants, we built high. And like ants, we be squashed by the sea and the sky. What have we created? But worry not, for it will always end like it began. Behold, the rising sun.
Huh.
But before, 3 months ago, I put
available 24/7 to help solve issues. Right. Call me 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I don't care.
The way that I usually describe myself is an engineer, because that's most of what I do is engineering. So I spend most of the week with my engineering and design team working on the current car and future cars, the rockets and spacecraft and that kind of thing. When I was a kid, I didn't really have any grand designs. I mean, the reason I started programming computers is because I like computer games. And I play lots of computer games, and I learned that if I wrote software and sold it, then I could get more money and buy better computers. So it wasn't really, with some grand vision or anything. When I was growing up, I'd read lots of books, and they were very often set in the United States, and it seemed like a lot of new technology was being developed in the United States. So I thought, okay, I really want to work on new technology, so I want to get to Silicon Valley. I tried at first to convince my parents to move to the US, but neither of them would move. They were divorced, and so eventually I was able to get my Canadian citizenship because my mom had been born in Canada. So I moved first to Canada by myself when I was 17, and then a few years later I moved to the US. The reason I came out to Stanford was actually working on energy storage technologies for electric car. That summer of '95. I was looking at the internet, and it seemed to me like the internet was going to have a big effect on humanity. So I thought, well, I can either work on electric vehicle technology, do my PhD at Stanford, and watch the internet get built, or I can put my studies on hold and try to be part of the internet. And at first I tried to get a job at Netscape because that was the only internet company, and they didn't respond to me. So I was like, okay, if I can't get a job at the only internet company, then I'm going to try starting something. But I talked to my professor and I said, look, I'm going to try starting a company, probably not going to succeed, and if it doesn't succeed, can I come back? He said, sure, no problem. And so I put my studies on hold and started the company.
Did some internet stuff, one of which was PayPal. I think maybe it's helpful to say one of the things that was important then in the creation of PayPal was kind of how it started, because initially the initial thought with PayPal was to create an agglomeration of financial services. So if you have one place where all of your financial services needs would be seamlessly integrated and work smoothly. And then we had like a little feature which was to do email payments. And whenever we'd show the system off to someone, we'd show the hard part, which was the agglomeration of financial services, which was quite difficult to put together. Nobody was interested. Then we'd show people email payments, which was actually quite easy, and everybody was interested. I think it's important to take feedback from your environment. You want to be as closed loop as possible. We focused on email payments and really try to make that work, and that's what really got things to take off. But if we hadn't responded to what people said, then we probably would not have been successful. Going from PayPal, I thought, well, what are some of the other problems that are likely to most affect the future of humanity? It really wasn't from the perspective of what's the rank-ordered best way to make money, which is okay, but it was really what I think is going to most affect the future of humanity. So I think the biggest terrestrial problem we've got is sustainable energy, but the production and consumption of energy in a sustainable manner. If we don't solve that this century, we're in deep trouble. And then the other one being the extension of life beyond Earth to make life multiplanetary. So the latter is the basis for SpaceX, and the former is the basis for Tesla and Solar City. When I started SpaceX, initially I thought that, well, there's no way one could possibly start a rocket company. I wasn't that crazy. But then I thought, well, what is a way to increase NASA's budget? That was actually my initial goal. So I actually went to Russia 3 times to look at buying a refurbished ICBM. I can tell you it was very weird going there in 2001, 2002, going to the Russian rocket forces and saying, I'd like to buy 2 of your biggest rockets, but you can keep the nuke. They thought I was crazy, but I did have money, so that was okay. Particularly if you're starting a company, you need to work super hard. So what does super hard mean? Well, when my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and we're so hot up we had just one computer. So the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night. 7 days a week, all the time. Briefly had a girlfriend in that period, and in order to be with me, she had to sleep in the office. So work hard like every waking hour. That's the thing I would say. You do simple math. You say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
Work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in, 80 to 100 hour weeks every week. And then, but all those things improve the odds of success. If other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that in 1 year you will achieve what they achieve. You will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve. Then it's just you have to apply a lot of hours to actual work, actually working. So the way I generally do it is I'll be working at SpaceX on Monday, and then Monday night fly to the Bay Area, then Tuesday and Wednesday at the Bay Area, then at Tesla, and then fly back on Wednesday night, spend Thursday and Friday at SpaceX. In the last several months, then I would fly back here on a Saturday, and either spend Saturday and Sunday at Tesla, or spend Saturday at Tesla and Sunday at SpaceX. So 7 days a week, sleeping in the factory. Worked everything I worked in the paint shop, general assembly, body shop.
You ever worry about yourself imploding? Like it's just too much?
Absolutely. No one should put this many hours into work. This is not good. People should not work this hard. They should not do this. This is very painful.
Painful in what sense?
It hurts my brain and my heart. This is not recommended for anyone. I just did it because if I didn't do it, then Tesla, your Teslas would die.
I gave basically both SpaceX and Tesla from the beginning a probability of less than 10% of likely to succeed. In the beginning, I wouldn't even let my friends invest because I don't want to lose that money. I thought it was like, yes, I'd rather lose my own money. We almost did die at SpaceX actually. So I budgeted for 3 flights. I know technically I did have a plan where I had money from PayPal. I had about $180 million from PayPal. I thought, I'll allocate half of that to SpaceX and Tesla and Solar City, and that should be fine. I'll have $90 million. That's just lots, But then what happened is things cost more and took longer than I thought. So I had a choice of either put the rest of the money in or the company's going to die. And so I ended up putting all the money in and borrowing money for rent from friends.
If you want to try to come up with an innovative breakthrough, that's going to be how it is. And anything which is significantly innovative is going to come with a significant risk of failure. You've got to take big chances in order for the potential for a big positive outcome. If the outcome is exciting enough, then taking a big risk is worthwhile. It's really how I approach it. But then once executing down a path, I actually do my absolute best to reduce risk, because or to improve another way of saying it, to improve the probability of success. Because when you're trying to do something that is very very risky, then you have to spend a lot of effort trying to reduce that risk as you walk down that path. I mean, I think I'm kind of constitutionally just geared to just keep going. It's but just like I I mean, certainly there are times when things don't go well, and then that's quite discouraging.
I hate
sure.
these.
And so then it's difficult to proceed with the same level of enthusiasm. But I do think the things that we're doing are pretty important to the future. And if we don't succeed, then there's it's not clear what other things would succeed. And if we don't succeed, then we'll be suddenly pointed to as a reason why people shouldn't even try for these things. So I think it's important that we do whatever is necessary to keep going.
So how do you keep your focus on the big picture when you're constantly faced with you could be out of business in a month?
Well, it's just a very small percentage of mental energy is on the big picture. Like you know where you're generally heading for, and the actual path is going to be some sort of zigzaggy thing in that direction. You try not to deviate too far from the path that you want to be on, but you're going to have to do that to some degree.
One of the most difficult choices I've ever faced in life was in 2008. I think I had maybe $30 million left, or $30 or $40 million left in 2008. I had two choices: put it all into one company, and then the other company would definitely die, or split it between the two companies. And if I split it between the two companies, they both might die. And when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating something, building something, it's like a child. It's like, which one am I going to let one starve to death? I can bring myself to do it, so I split the money between the two. Fortunately, thank goodness, they both came through.
Was there any great failure in your pregnancy you have had?
Well, I certainly have lost many battles. So far, I've not lost a war, but I've certainly lost many battles. Yeah, more than I can count. I mean, we had many. At Tesla, we came many times close to bankruptcy. In fact, at the end of 2008, we were only a few days from bankruptcy. It was literally 2 days, 3 days.
I was curious in general, what do you think of the Silicon Valley mantra, fail fast, fail often, or as Esther Benson says, always make new mistakes, as if failure is the crucible of learning? Any further thoughts on that, and that maybe off the cuff comment you made out there?
I mean, there are many that sort of, I mean, I think it's sort of, there's like some entropic basis for this. Like, there are many more ways to fail than to succeed. So you have to explore. I mean, particularly like for a rocket, there's like 1,000 ways a thing can fail and like one way it can work. So you could have a lot of rocket failures to explore all the ways in which it can fail. But I do think that one great thing about Silicon Valley is that failure is not a big stigma. So it's like if you try hard and it doesn't work out, that's okay. Like you can learn from that and do another company, and it's not a big deal. I mean, I think it's like quite painful and difficult, honestly, and it feels terrible. Yeah, I mean, the company's sort of looking to me to rally them, and so I did. But I honestly feel super bad. Space is hard, and rockets tend to fail, unfortunately. And even when you've got like a lot of really smart people working super hard to minimize the probability of failure, it's still there, and it's quite significant. If people have asked me, like, well, why are rockets especially hard? And the part of it is like everything has to work the first time. Like there's no, you can't do a recall, you can't patch it. It's like 9 minutes to orbit or it's over.
That mindset that embraces failure, how do you personally, I mean, those kinds of failures would drive a lot of us in this room nuts, but doesn't seem to drive you nuts. Seems like you're very comfortable with it.
What is going on?
Can you talk about the mindset that requires for you to be that accepting of that kind of failure?
Well, I think there's a certain amount of time, and within that time, you want the best net outcome.
Jesus.
So
Fuck. This doesn't want to lock in. Lock in. Oh, God. Okay. Well, that's fine. We're going to let that cure for a minute. All right. What do we still have to do? Still have to do the icons, and we still have to do the weapons. So honestly, this is going faster than I thought. I figured about 4 hours. We're closing in on 3, and we're way ahead. So that's great. All right. Well, I guess I'll do what I can do while I'm waiting to hear back from the client. So I will clip the appropriate icons and I guess clean up both weapon options. That way it's very quick when he does decide. And that's about all I can do, I think. Can't really prime until I hear back. Oh. I have a little bit of a headache. I guess I'm going to have to go.
You know, all the set of actions that you can do, there's going to be some which will fail, some which will succeed, and you want the net useful output of your set of actions to be the highest. So use like a baseball analogy, like, you know, baseball, they don't let you just sit there and wait for the perfect pitch until you get a real easy one. They give you 3 shots. The third one, you say, okay, get off go back to put somebody else there. So these 3 strikes on baseball, not on the batting more. So see, what you're really looking for is like, what's the batting average? You know, how you doing on score? And there's going to be some amount of failure, but you want your net output, net useful output to be maximized. Failure is essentially irrelevant unless it is catastrophic.
For SpaceX, first 3 launches failed, and we're just barely able to scrape together enough parts and money to do the 4th launch. That 4th launch had failed, we would have been down. So multiple failures along the way. I tried very hard to get the right expertise for SpaceX. I tried hard to find a great chief engineer for the rocket, but the good chief engineers wouldn't join, and the bad ones, there was no point in it. So I ended up being chief engineer of the rocket. So if I could have found somebody better, then we would have maybe had less than 3 failures.
How do you think about making a decision when everyone tells you this is a crazy idea? Where do you get the internal strength to do that?
Well, first of all, I'd say I actually think I feel fear quite strongly. So it's not as though I just have the absence of fear. I feel it quite strongly. But there are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough, that you do it in spite of fear.
There are people who've been in the rocketry business for decades who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight in the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing, and I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
and to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
So they're hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone. So many people tried to talk me out of starting a rocket company. It was crazy.
What did they tell you?
One good friend of mine collected a whole series of videos of rockets blowing up and made me watch those. He just didn't want me to lose all my money. We're doing these things that seem unlikely to succeed, and we've been fortunate, and at least thus far they have succeeded. Generally, starting a business, I'd say number one is have a high pay threshold. That's it. There's a friend of mine who's got a good saying, which is that starting a company is like eating glass and staring into the abyss. Okay, that's generally what happens, because when you first start a company, there's lots of optimism and things are great. And then, so happiness at first is high. Then you encounter all sorts of issues, and happiness will steadily decline. And then you'll go through a whole world of hurt. And then eventually, if you succeed, and in most cases you will not succeed, and Tesla almost didn't succeed, came very close to failure. Then if you succeed, then after a long time, you will finally get back to happiness. Frankly, starting a company, I would advise people to have a high pain tolerance. It is definitely true that, I mean, maybe there are occasionally companies that get created where there's not an extended period of extreme pain, but I'm not aware of very many of such instances. But I do think that new great entrepreneurs are born every day, and we'll continue to see amazing companies get built. But I would definitely advise people who are starting a company to expect a long period of quite high difficulty. It's really not that fun. I mean, there are periods of fun, and there are periods of which is awful. And particularly if you're the CEO of a company, you actually have a distillation of all the worst problems in the company. There's no point in spending the time on things that are going right. So you only spend your time on things that are going wrong. And there are things that are going wrong that other people can't take care of. So you have like the worst. You have a filter for the crappiest problems in the company. The most pernicious and painful problems. I think you have to feel quite compelled to do it and have a fairly high pain threshold. I mean, as long as people stay super focused on creating the absolute best product or service that really delights their end customer, and if they stay focused on that, then basically, if you get it such that your customers want you to succeed, then you probably will. If your customers love you, your odds of success are dramatically higher. For somebody who's just starting out as an entrepreneur, I think the internet is a great place to start. Because if you're just starting out, unless you've got a ton of capital that somebody gave you or you inherited or something, you have to do something. You have to start a company that requires a small amount of capital, where it's heavily weighted towards intellectual capital in your head. So I think anything to do with sort of software and with the internet is a really good starting point. It would have been impossible for me to have done electric cars or rockets, right from the start, because those require money to get anything done. Being focused on something that you're confident will have high value to someone else, and just being really rigorous in making that assessment, because people tend to, a natural human tendency is wishful thinking. So a challenge for entrepreneurs is to say, well, what's the difference between really believing in your ideals and sticking to them versus pursuing some unrealistic dream that doesn't actually have merit? And that is a really difficult thing to tell you. Can you tell the difference between those two things? So you need to be sort of very rigorous in your self-analysis. Successful entrepreneurs probably come in all sizes, shapes, flavors. An obsessive nature with respect to the quality of the product is very important. But even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. If you like what you're doing, think about it even when you're not working. It's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work, I think.
If you're creating a company or if you're joining a company, the most important thing is to attract great people. So either join a group that's amazing that you really respect, or if you're building a company, you've got to gather great people. Okay, all a company is a group of people that have gathered together to create a product or service. And so depending upon how talented and hardworking that group is, and the degree to which they're focused cohesively in a good direction, that will determine the success of the company. So do everything you can to gather great people if you're creating a company. Then I'd say focus on signal over noise. A lot of companies get confused. They spend money on things that don't actually make the product better. So, for example, at Tesla, we've never spent any money on advertising. We put all the money into R&D and manufacturing and design to try to make the car as good as possible. And I think that's the way to go. So,
Working hard for something we don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something we love is called passion.
I think one of the mistakes that people make is they think purpose comes from their job. I've been a whatever for so many years, and when then I lose my job or I retire, I now don't have a sense of purpose because I so closely associated my self-worth with the job that I did. I knew what my job was. I had a sense of purpose. And one wonders if those things are conflated, right? Which is I had a sense of purpose for my job, and then when I didn't have the job, all of a sudden I woke up in the morning and didn't know what to do. The purpose is not your MOS. Your purpose is not you're a saw gunner. Your purpose is not the job that you wake up to do every day. Your purpose is something bigger.
I have 5 little rules that you can follow as you find your spark and bring your spark to life. The first is to go after the things that you want. Let me tell you a story. So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. The Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races. And it's very common at the end of the race, they'll have a sponsor who will give away something, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, the line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's 2 ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. Because the rule is, you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You could do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want. Rule number 2. In the 18th century, there was something that spread across Europe and eventually made its way to America called puerperal fever, also known as the Black Death of childbed. Basically what was happening is women were giving birth and they would die within 48 hours after giving birth. This Black Death of childbirth was the ravage of Europe, and it got worse and worse and worse over the course of over a century. And these doctors and men of science wanted to study and try and find the reason for this Black Death of childbed, and so they got to work studying. And they would study the corpses of the women who had died. And in the morning they would conduct autopsies, and then in the afternoon they would go and deliver babies and finish their rounds. And it wasn't until somewhere in the mid-1800s that Oliver Wendell Holmes realized that all of these doctors who were conducting autopsies in the morning weren't washing their hands before they delivered babies in the afternoon. And he pointed it out and said, guys, you're the problem. And they ignored him and called him crazy for 30 years, until finally somebody realized that if they simply washed their hands, it would go away. And that's exactly what happened. When they started sterilizing their instruments and washing their hands, the Black Death of childbed disappeared. The lesson here is sometimes you're the problem. Take accountability for your actions. You can take all the credit in the world for the things that you do right, as long as you also take responsibility for the things you do wrong. It must be a balanced equation. You don't get it one way and not the other. You get to take credit when you also take accountability. Lesson 3, take care of each other. The United States Navy SEALs are perhaps the most elite warriors in the world. And one of the SEALs was asked, who makes it through the selection process? Who is able to become a SEAL? And his answer was, I can't tell you the kind of person that becomes a SEAL. I can't tell you the kind of person that makes it through BUD/S, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't become SEALs. He says the guys that show up with huge, bulging muscles, covered in tattoos, who want to prove to the world how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate all their responsibility and never do anything themselves, none of them make it through. He says some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys that make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He says, however, all the guys that make it through, when they find themselves physically spent, emotionally spent, when they have nothing left to give physically or emotionally, somehow, some way, they are able to find the energy to dig down deep inside themselves, to find the energy to help the guy next to them. They become SEALs, he said. You want to be an elite warrior. It's not about how tough you are. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how fast you are. If you want to be an elite warrior, you better get really, really good at helping the person to the left of you and helping the person to the right of you. Because that's how people advance in the world. The world is too dangerous and the world is too difficult for you to think that you can do these things alone. If you find your spark, I commend you. Now, who are you going to ask for help, and when are you going to accept help when it's offered? Learn that skill. Learn by practicing helping each other. It'll be the single most valuable thing you ever learn in your entire life. To accept help when it's offered and to ask for it when you know that you can't do it. The amazing thing is when you learn to ask for help, you'll discover that there are people all around you who've always wanted to help you. They just didn't think you needed it because you kept pretending that you had everything under control. And the minute you say, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm stuck, I'm scared, I don't think I can do this, you will find that lots of people who love you will rush in and take care of you. But that'll only happen if you learn to take care of them first. Lesson 4. Nelson Mandela is a particularly special case study in the leadership world because he is universally regarded as a great leader. You can take other personalities, and depending on the nation you go to, we have different opinions about other personalities. But Nelson Mandela, across the world, is universally regarded as a great leader. And he was asked one day, how did you learn to be a great leader? And he responded that he would go with his father to tribal meetings. And he remembers 2 things when his father would meet with other elders. 1, they would always sit in a circle. And 2, his father was always the last to speak. You will be told your whole life that you need to learn to listen. I would say that you need to learn to be the last to speak. I see it in boardrooms every day of the week. Even people who consider themselves good leaders, who may actually be decent leaders, will walk into a room and say, here's the problem, here's what I think, but I'm interested in your opinion, let's go around the room. It's too late. The skill to hold your opinions to yourself until everyone has spoken does 2 things. 1, it gives everybody else the feeling that they have been heard. It gives everyone else the ability to feel that they have contributed. And 2, you get the benefit of hearing what everybody else has to think before you render your opinion. To keep your opinions to yourself. If you agree with somebody, don't nod yes. If you disagree with somebody, don't nod no. Simply sit there, take it all in, and the only thing you're allowed to do is ask questions so that you can understand what they mean and why they have the opinion that they have. You must understand from where they are speaking, why they have the opinion they have, not just what they are saying. Practice being the last to speak. One afternoon, I went to buy a cup of coffee, and there was a barista by the name of Noah who was serving me. Noah was fantastic. He was friendly and fun, and he was engaging with me, and I had so much fun buying a cup of coffee, I actually think I gave 100% tip, right? He was wonderful. So as is my nature, I asked Noah, do you like your job? And without skipping a beat, Noah says, I love my job. And so I followed up. I said, what is it that the Four Seasons is doing that would make you say to me, I love my job? And without skipping a beat, Noah said, throughout the day, managers will walk past me and ask me how I'm doing, if there's anything that I need to do my job better. He said, not just my manager, any manager. And then he said something magical. He says, I also work at Caesar's Palace. And at Caesar's Palace, the managers are trying to make sure we're doing everything right. They catch us when we do things wrong. He says, when I go to work there, I like to keep my head under the radar and just get through the day so I can get my paycheck. He says, here at the Four Seasons, I feel I can be myself. So we in leadership are always criticizing the people. We're always saying, we've got to get the right people on the bus. I've got to fill my team. I've got to get the right people. But the reality is, it's not the people. It's the leadership. If we create the right environment, we will get people like Noah at the Four Seasons. If we create the wrong environment, we will get people like Noah at Caesar's Palace. There was a former Undersecretary of Defense who was invited to give a speech at a large conference, about 1,000 people. And he was standing on the stage with his cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup. And he took a sip of his coffee and he smiled and he looked down at the coffee. And then he went off script. And he said, last year I spoke at this exact same conference. Last year I was still the undersecretary. And when I spoke here last year, they flew me here business class. And when I arrived at the airport, there was somebody waiting for me to take me to my hotel. And they took me to my hotel and they had already checked me in and they just took me up to my room. And the next morning I came downstairs and there was someone waiting in the lobby to greet me and they drove me to this here same venue and handed me a cup of coffee in a beautiful ceramic cup. He says, I'm no longer the undersecretary. I flew here coach. I took a taxi to my hotel and I checked myself in. When I came down the lobby this morning, I took another taxi to this venue. And when I asked someone, do you have any coffee? He pointed to the coffee machine in the corner and I poured myself a cup of coffee into this here styrofoam cup. He says the lesson is, the ceramic cup was never meant for me. It was meant for the position I held. I deserved a styrofoam cup. Remember this. As you gain fame, as you gain fortune, as you gain position and seniority, people will treat you better. They will hold doors open for you. They will get you a cup of tea and coffee without you even asking. None of that stuff is meant for you. That stuff is meant for the position you hold. It is meant for the level that you have achieved of leader or success or whatever you want to call it. But you will always deserve a styrofoam cup. Remember that lesson of humility and gratitude. You can accept all the free stuff. You can accept all the perks. Absolutely, you can enjoy them. But just be grateful for them and know that they're not for you. And so I keep meeting these wonderful, fantastic, idealistic, hardworking, smart kids that just graduated school. They're in their entry-level job. And I sit down with them and I go, how's it going? They go, I think I'm going to quit. I'm like, why? They're like, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months. It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain and they have this abstract concept called impact that they want to have in the world, which is the summit. What they don't see is the mountain. I don't care if you go up the mountain quickly or slowly, but there's still a mountain. And so what this young generation needs to learn is patience. That some things that really, really matter, like love or job fulfillment, joy, love of life, self-confidence, a skill set, any of these things, all of these things take time. Sometimes you can expedite pieces of it, but the overall journey is
arduous and long and difficult. All you need to do is have the will and the desire to want to understand what drives and inspires me.
Yeah, it's pretty good, I would say, overall.
Put out a $2,000 call for artists to expand the world of Demon Souls, to create bosses, environments, enemies, and lore for the icy lands beyond the northern limit. For in Demon Souls, there are 6 worlds to explore, but one of them is lost behind a broken archstone. According to content in the game, this was Before we begin, for the very first time, I'd like to reveal Soul Arts, a tribute to all of the most outstanding pieces contributed to these art competitions. The cover art is by Ricardo Amike, and it shows all of our artists clawing for a top position, pouring their souls onto the canvas. See if you can spot all the little character references. One day soon, we hope to bring Soul Arts to Kickstarter, so please keep an eye out for that. Now though, it's time for the top 10. So let's begin in the run. This sand-swept, stormy labyrinth is one of Bloodborne's most signature chalice dungeons. Many artists expanded the world of Bloodborne in this direction, including Rex Beck, who designed a boss, a dark beast named Khan Kur, who was left behind to guard the gateway as his masters retreated further underground. He appears still, statuesque, surrounded by a ring of candles and the bones of former offerings. All manner of creatures kneel before him, worshipping at a safe distance. Only when you step beyond the candle ring does he finally move. But he is stuck in the doorway, so the first phase of the fight has you chipping away at his arms, as the fleshy growths on the walls threaten to drag you towards him. After a certain amount of damage, Kanko becomes enraged, flaying himself as he tears through the doorway. With electrified wings created by ripped skin and viscera, the fight begins in earnest. When the boss is slain, the flesh covering the doorway withers, letting through this rush of stagnant, filthy air. Now you're free to discover what truly became of the ancient people of Iran, and you receive this cute cosmetic item for your messengers, for your troubles. Next, we go Seaborn. The way Zachary introduces his entry is really powerful. We see a ship being pulled into a maelstrom, followed by a man on a beach, with the wreckage of countless ships behind him. This high-backed chair is actually a reference from one of Bloodborne's alpha tests, a warp chair where characters once took their rest. Let me guess, your ship got snatched up by a foul storm, pulled down to the darkest depths. In that case, I'm afraid your crew went down with the ship. You should consider it a mercy, really. Something about this place. Well, you can't sleep. Not ever. So I sit here, very, very quietly, in a sort of sleepless dream. As for me Confederates, well, you'll see. Here, take my hook safe and my pistol. You'll be needing them more than I. The weapons themselves play into the crude yet crafty tools of a pirate. The hook safe is a sickle with a detachable pommel that can be swung around in tandem with the blade. In your other hand is Herman's harpoon pistol, which syncs well with the high mobility of the Bloodborne game because it allows you to repel between enemies in a fight. You'll use these weapons to take out the Pale Blood Priests, islander cultists that have been transformed by their devotion to the moonless child. They search unendingly for precious blood to nourish their decrepit god, and when they've sucked enough blood, they will swell and harden into a cocoon-like state, emerging as a proto-amygdala soon after. Number 8. Yong Yi Li. In his vision of Bloodborne 2, you awaken and you immediately face off against a boss. This is the descendant of a great one, part beast, part celestial, attacking you with a combination of attacks, like the Nightmare Tail Blades, a ghostly extension of its forked tail. Towards the end of the fight, the Great One evolves, or devolves, really, into Afrida, descendant of the Pharaoh. She's becoming more human. and she appears to have lost a lot of her ranged cosmic attacks as a result of that. So instead, she throws her surrogate children at you. These children trip you up, they slow you down, and some even erupt in blood spikes if you get too close. When you defeat her, she devolves fully back to a human, and her heart reveals that she is something of an experiment, half beast, half celestial, much like yourself. You inspect your own body afterwards, and you discover one arm encrusted with coral and barnacles, and the other being wrapped in sprouting hair. You feel power surging from both arms, but each of them feel drastically different, as if they are of two worlds, one high above ground, and the other deep below the ocean. This allows you to make use of the ancient axe Kopesh, which is the star of Yong's entry. The Kopesh is a quick slashing weapon that can be slid into the axe head for more devastating heavy attacks. The detail on the axe head is amazing, and the concept is strong, but it gets even better because you can wield this weapon in beast mode or celestial mode. If you grasp the Kopesh by the blade and attach the hilt to the axe, then your blood will run down from the blade and activate its beast mode. This is now a crescent axe that erupts with blood, and while every swipe reduces your health because you're grabbing the blade, every successful hit actually restores it. If you need even more range, you can activate the celestial mode instead, which extends the weapon into this powerful scepter where you can swing arcane bolts with every strike. And just like its beast equivalent, you can also shorten it down as well. This was such an excellent entry, and honestly, one of the strongest trick weapon designs that you'll see today. Next, we dive into Deepford, an underwater take on Bloodborne by Holdsworth Hands. In this world, hunters expressed a desperate desire to escape the control of the great ones above, seeking the refuge offered by the deep seas. Early expeditions failed. Hunters were not prepared for the ocean, and the first suits that they made for their journey were clumsy and poorly designed. Over time, they developed these diving bells, aptly named structures that provided a place to breathe and rest on the long descent below. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how genius this design is as a checkpoint? They're a giant bell with a small lamp attached, the inverse of Bloodborne's checkpoints, which featured a large lamp with small bells attached. So the hunters adapted, and as they delved deeper, they developed helmets that could stand even greater pressures. Let's give a shout out here to the clever designs of these helmets, and to the UI design as well. To their dismay, normal blood vials didn't work underwater. Piercing the suit wasn't a good idea, so a special valve and a pressurized blood canister was implemented. Trick weapons are here too, of course. Any objects that they found below were fashioned into weapons, such as Henry's lost anchor, which extends via a chain mechanism to form a heavy flail. In order to parry, a harpoon pistol can stun your enemies and pull them to you to perform a visceral attack. These innovations led hunters deeper and deeper, some traveling so far that no one ever saw them again. What did they find in the deepest depths of the ocean? What sort of horrors could stand this darkness, these pressures? You pass many hunters, locked in suits that have become their grave, and there are more and more curiosities below. For the ocean is more ancient than the mountains, and freighted with the memories and the dreams of time. But the deep seas weren't the only places hunters could escape to. Some found refuge in nightmares. This is Carl Hassler's Nightmare Settlement, a small colony for lost souls, founded by Carol, the first settler. This is a place for hunters to rest, to talk to other refugees, use the workshop, and, of course, be granted strength in exchange for blood echoes. H.P. Lovecraft wrote amazing stories about the traversal of dreamlands, featuring characters who get lost in a series of unsettling adventures, and I really get that same Lovecraftian sense from this place. As opposed to the hunter's dream, which is small and disconnected, this nightmare settlement feels like it's actually within a wider nightmare world, full of dangers and unfamiliar places. The hunter's dream is safe and cozy, yeah, but this nightmare settlement feels like a safe place in a dangerous world, and I feel like it's all the more striking for it. Within this place, you meet Gerard, a hunter, by the looks of it. And if you travel back up to Yharnam, you'll find the old city even more difficult to traverse than you remember, as only the fiercest beasts have been able to survive. pilgrim beasts that echo the design of the cleric beast, ravenous crows speckled with countless little eyes, and unseen hunters. I feel like this is one of the strongest enemy designs in the whole competition. Your eyes are drawn first to its head, which echoes the design of the moon presence. Next, you dissect that tangle of tentacles to discover that it actually has 4 smaller arms on top and is supported by one enormous arm below. Here, your eyes finally fall upon a decapitated wolf's head that lies on the ground. You aren't the only hunter of beasts out tonight. Amazing work. Congratulations to Carl Hassler on 6th place. The next 3 entries expand upon the stories of the Vilebloods from the original game. As you may recall, the Vilebloods were born when a scholar of Bergenworth brought forbidden blood back to Canehurst Castle. The church considered them a threat to the purity of their blood healing, and the executioners murdered every last Vileblood, except for their queen, who appeared to be immortal. In Janine Maganito's entry, Queen Annalise smiles as she sits patiently in her lonely throne room, and she speaks the words, "Canehurst will rise again."
All right. So that's about it we can do today, unfortunately, until we hear back about these weapon choices. So that was great. We got all the assembly done minus the few small details. We'll hear back from the client. And then, yeah, once we get that sorted, we'll prime these up and get these ready for paint.